talk through the perfect PMP exam day pacing. Now, you know the exam, it's 180 questions, right? And you know that you get 230 minutes to take the entire exam. And the exam is structured in 3 little 60-question kind of mini quizzes, right? That you have 10-minute breaks available between each. That's how it's structured. Now, we're going to go through and we're going to use a comfortable, steady pace. Now, the key word in here is steady. We want to be, boom, kind of marathon pace, not sprint. We want to be methodical. We want to be steady as we go about this thing. So if we look at that, 230 minutes, 180 questions, let me do the math for you. You get 1 minute and 16 seconds on average, right, per question. So if you think about 1 minute and 16 seconds, it might feel fast, it might feel slow, I don't know. It's kind of ambiguous as you think about it. What is 1 minute and 16 seconds? How are we going to manage that? Let's talk it through. Now, before we go into the question timing, you got to realize that the overall timing is going to count down. So it's not going to go from 0 to 230. It's going to go 230 down, which is a little weird, but don't worry. We've set our whole simulator up to count down in the challenge quizzes, so you're covered. All right? So we're going to simplify the clock, that 230 down to 0, how to think through it, okay? So here are the little boxes. Each one of those little things is a 60-question chunk of the PMP exam, right? So you got 60 questions in each. The little gaps is the available 10-minute break, all right? Now, each one of those chunks, if we were to say how much time can we allocate, we get about 75 minutes per chunk. Okay, that's reasonable. Now, if you think about it, you start out with 230 minutes, like right when you start the exam. At the end, you end up with 0, right? You don't have to use all the time, but a lot of us, myself included, went down to the end and you really didn't have any time left. That's totally natural. It's totally okay. Now, at the first break, for simplicity's sake, we're just going to say, as the time counts down, you want to have about 150 minutes left. Back of the envelope, general. Start with 230. At the first break, 150. 150 is a nice round number, easy to remember, 150. So you start with 230, cool. At the first break, as long as you're around 150-ish, you're okay. And then, the next one, 75. So we start with 230, 150, 75, down to 0. Okay, that's the countdown timing in our brain. That's how we think about it. So as we think through this, the first break, if we're around 150, we're good to go. Then we get to 75, then we get to done. That's the way it works, all right? So that's a very logical way. So all that stuff about 230 minutes and blah, 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 forget it. Just remember this. At the first break, you want to be around 150. If you have less time than that, you go, okay, I got to speed up a little bit. Then on the second break, 75, and then it's down to home we go in the done, okay? So that's the timing in the countdown. Now, let's simplify the micro question pacing, if you will, okay? Now, inside of each little chunk, we get 60 questions. So as we go through there, I want you to chunk it up again. Each little chunk of 60 questions, we're going to break it into 3s. And so 60 question becomes 20, 20, 20 as we go through there. Now, the way I want you to think about it, I stole this from a guy named Pomodoro, or a guy who invented something called the Pomodoro technique, okay? Now, what that person did, I think he was an Italian dude, he said, we're going to break our work, he was a teacher, into short 25-minute sections with little breaks to relax, refresh, get ready to go, and then hit it again. So he would set this little timer on his desk, and it looked like a tomato, kind of cool. So I guess in Italian, tomato is Pomodoro, so he said Pomodoro technique. Isn't that cool? All right, so we're going to use that same kind of philosophy in the back of the envelope style to say, hey, it's the Scotadoro technique, whatever, okay? And it says we're going to stop after every 20 questions to pause just a second or two, sit back in our chair, relax a little bit, breathe, kind of shake our head around, kind of feel how we're feeling, say, hey, am I getting stuck on questions? Am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? Just kind of get your wits about you, all right? Every 20 questions, 20, 40, 60, you get it, right? Pause, reflect, relax. So 20 questions, little 5, 10, 15 second break, breathe it out, feel it out, see how it goes. Cool, 20 another, break. Then go again, do each one. So within each 60, we're having a little reflection period. Okay, how am I doing? Am I making a good enough pace? Am I moving through enough? Am I getting hung up on a question or so? How are we going? Just adjusting and moving through. It kind of breaks out your day, all right? Now, If you're going to average a minute 16 seconds per question, you will finish on time, but it's really hard to track that going a minute 16 each question, all right? So we're going to use the simulator to get the kind of feel of it, all right? Now, as we go into the simulator, my boys and I designed this. We use Scrum, you know that, with a lot of different features, okay? And so when we're in challenge mode, and when you know challenge mode, it says it up there in the left corner, and it's purple, okay? It's pretty pretty. And so up there in the top left, you can see the time, and it's counting down. So whatever you start with, it counts down, so that gets you like that feeling of watching the clock tick as you go, right? And then once you get to the final results, boom, you go over here and you say, okay, I get my results. Obviously, I'm in there. I got an 80% on this test. I get my deeper results, and then down here. Pacing-wise, this is where I want you to look. All right, when you take these challenge quizzes, get the feel of how long it took you. So for this little example, when I went and took the test, it took me about a minute and 20 seconds per. Now, we put that little green bar in there because minute 16, we give like some pluses and minuses. As long as you're between like a minute and a minute 30-ish, then you're going to be okay. Because some questions on the exam, you're going to speed through. Easy peasy. And some of them are going to take a little longer. What we want to stay away from is the 4 and 5 and 3 minute timelines for questions. We want to be around that minute 30, maybe 2 for the tough ones, and then we'll make it up on the 30, 45 second short ones, okay? But as we take more and more challenge quizzes, we'll see where we're feeling, all right? As long as we're in near and in the greenish zone, we're okie dokie, all right? Now, you can see that jump out right here. Bang, I'm in a good spot, doing okay. Keep it rolling, all right? Now, if you look up in the top and you go down to question details and you said, man, let me look at the questions I missed and let me look at the questions that are really costing me time. Where are they? So as you go in here, you're going to get, boom, all the question details, what you got right, what you got wrong, all that jazz. And as you go up here at the top for an individual question, you can see how much time you spent on a question. Isn't that cool? Right? So for this one, I spent 4 minutes and 23 seconds. All right, hemming and hawing. I got it right, which is awesome, but I know that I did. So if I spent 4 minutes and 23 seconds, or you did, you could say, well, maybe I don't understand that concept right, or maybe I was just double reading it, or maybe I didn't follow the process. Whatever it is, do some reflection in the study process so you can understand where your leaks are in your game. That's the beauty of it, okay? And as you go through it and you pop it up, you can say, okay, I spent 4 minutes and 23 seconds. It's the domain, the framework, the principles, the subcategories. Over there on the right side, right above my head, you can see the related videos. Maybe you brush up on those topics. You watch the full me breakdown the video if it's there, all that stuff. So really, really dive down deep. You don't need to go crazy, but this is just giving you some opportunities to clean up those rough spots. Awesome, okay? Now, you want to focus your simulator quizzes on, first of all, learning, all right? Speed comes in time. Pacing and speed comes second. But number one, learning, which helps with the pacing, okay? If we know the stuff, we can get to the answer faster. And then obviously, as we get going, you get that rhythm, how long it's taking stuff, okay? And if you're in that band of greenness, you're going to be okay as we go, all right? Now, thinking through question-solving pace killers, and we talk to a lot of students and what helps them, what doesn't help them. We watch students ad nauseum. We got it all covered, all right? Now, if you get stuck on a question or two, you got to realize at some point you got to wave the white flag, flag it, and move on, okay? We're not going to die on one question. Every question's worth the same amount, and so we want to find the questions that really resonate, that we can get them. So we don't want to wrap ourselves around the axle of one question. Additionally, people who do not follow the process tend to do a lot of rework. They're constantly rereading. They're switching answers all the time. It's just not good. So don't abandon the process, the question-solving process. You want to stick to it, okie dokie? Now, the things that build momentum, and in each one of those chunks, you want to build momentum, especially in that first 20 question chunk. Your goal is to just flag questions that you don't understand, move along, find the ones that kind of get your engines rolling and build that momentum. So we build momentum, like I said, by finding questions that speak to you, right? They're like, oh, I got that. I can get some enthusiasm. I can get some confidence. I can get some progress and some momentum. So find those questions that speak to you, get them right, come back to the flaggy ones later. And you want to flag the ones that are causing you, heartache, and you can hit them in time toward the end. Now, you got to finish all 60 questions before you go on break, but find the ones that are good to you, hit the other ones, boom, let's move it through, okay? Now, comfortable, steady pace is what we're going for, all right? Because it's 4 hours. That's a long time. Now, remember, at the first break, we want to have 150-ish minutes. The second break, about 75 minutes left. And when we're done, we are done. No big deal. Now, remember that Scotadoro technique. When we break down each of the 60, we say, I'm going to do 20. I'm going to pause for a couple seconds. I'm going to refresh my mind a little bit. I'm going to reflect on, am I getting caught on stuff? Am I going too fast? Am I abandoning the process? Stuff like that. Tune ourselves up and boop, 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 move it through. Easy peasy, right? Now, follow the process. The fastest way to solve questions is in a methodical way. So follow the process, okay? Find the questions that speak to you, get those right, build those momentum, be decisive, all those things. Be decisive, be confident, you're going to do great. So as we move through this, you have all the skills you need. You can use the simulator to evaluate your speed and your progress. You can really double down on the areas that are weak. You're going to be fine. So use that pacing to get through, and we're going to see you in the promised land. Let's go get this PMP.